Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, let's get right over to it. I'm not even going to test the Periscope. I'm assuming there's sound because people can yell at me if there is no sound, right? We're going to skip the sound check on Periscope because it is pathetic, right? Okay, so let's get back to the news. Okay, this is really good news. ZipRecruiter has a blog, and it's funny because, they do like a monthly blog, and if you go back on the list, it's like hottest job market, like hottest, lowest unemployment in a century or something was January. And then, February was, this might not look so good. And then March was, this is the end of the world. And, and now we're getting to, hey, there's signs of hope. Okay, there's signs of hope. Thanks for the super heart. Okay, April was the worst ever. Okay, the jobs report was the worst ever. The unemployment rate jumped to 14.7. And what's interesting about the unemployment rate is how many of those people are even looking. They don't count if they're not looking. I mean, maybe they said they were looking. I think you have to say you're looking. If you're on unemployment, you do that for a little while. Anyway, but according to ZipRecruiter, there are signs of hope. Employers are coming back. The crisis cut weekly number of new jobs being posted on ZipRecruiter in half by mid-April. Okay, and there's other information that says that this is the narrowest, that the type of industries hiring are the narrowest, right? Because they're only the permitted industries, right? But in the last few weeks, ZipRecruiter subscribers have risen 16%, and I think pretty much every employer has at least some kind of a, login or something. Okay, that's small, but job seeker registrations have now climbed 50% since early April, and the number of new applicants is ticking upwards. Many job seekers are eager to get back to work. Good point, because there's been some news stories that said people are just going to sit home with their unemployment. Okay, this is another one. In the financial panic of 2008, there was no credit. The banks have been burned, lending by their own methodology, loaning money to people who had no job, had no creditworthiness, and pushing so there was no credit available. And even when they gave banks the bailout, they didn't make the loans. Okay, so they had new rules this time. They said you got to make that loan within 10 days of getting the money. So my bank kind of had a problem. This is not a big bank. Kind of had a problem with getting the money out soon enough. The first round. The second round I got it April 30th, so I'm good. Okay. So this time around, companies are being able to secure large loans at a favorable rate. Now, I want to say something really profound. Scott Adams said about 2 weeks ago, he said, imagine going into your bank. Let's say you had a restaurant and it's been shut down for 2 months and you filed for bankruptcy because you just can't pay your rent. You can't do anything. Okay, so now you go to your bank and you say, hey, I need a loan to get started, a business startup loan. And they say, okay, well, what do you want to do? Now, when I went and started my business, I had a portfolio about this thick of papers I'd written, of speeches I'd given, of clients like Southwest Bell and Amoco Oil and 3M and Deluxe Check. And, like my banker said, I've seen people want to start a barbershop who've never cut hair. I've seen people want to start a restaurant who never cooked an egg. He said, in all my years, Keith Rupp, in all my years of banking, I've never seen anyone come in with so much background. How much do you want, John? That's what he said. He said, we don't need to, and you got to understand, we don't need to understand your business. We just need to know that you understand it. Okay, so that was the banking perspective in 1990. But that said, I should have asked for more money. That said, now imagine today. Okay, so you just declared bankruptcy 2 weeks ago, and you're ready to start over because now the rules are relaxed. And the bank says, okay, well, tell us about it. And you say, well, I just went bankrupt. And the banker says, yeah, you and every other restaurant. How good was your restaurant before you went bankrupt? We got money. We're willing to loan it. Everybody in the line has gone bankrupt in the last 2 weeks. How much do you want? Let's see how you did beforehand, because it's going to come back. It's a great opportunity for the banks to basically participate in successful businesses who would not have borrowed money. Okay, it's probably great for the banks, but it's also great for the businesses. And that, Scott said that. You know, what do you say to your landlord? Okay, if you're a business, I'm just saying. I'm not saying you should do this, but I'm saying you say to your landlord, I can't pay the rent this month. It's like you and everybody else. You know, what does he do? He say, get out in 10 days, clear everything out, clear out all your tables and all your fixtures and furniture. No, he's not going to say that. He's going to say, well, it's looking good. It's coming back. Let's work something out. Maybe you can pay a little higher rent for a while once you get going. Okay, we'll work something out. Because he's not going to go find another renter that's in better shape than you if you're a decent renter and if you've been paying the bills. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's another point. Employment recovers slowly after financial crises, but tends to bounce back more quickly after a recession sparked by other causes. So functioning credit markets are a good sign for the labor market. Okay? Also, more households paid their rent in May. Okay? My daughter said, I got more money in the bank than I've ever had in my life. She got, some unemployment. I think she got some severance. She got some vacation pay. She got a bunch of stuff, right? So I said, Kate, when I started my business, I didn't have much money to go on. I had 3 kids. I said, you're in a much better place to start. So she's going to be helping me. She's my style consultant, right? She's the one who's working with UFC. Okay, not the UFC, but some fighters and stuff, okay? So, really good. So, April 12th to April 18th may have been the week the economy bottomed out. Here's an interesting story. Virtual reality can't catch a break. The reason I put this story in is because I went to a direct mail conference, little mini conference. Postal Service was there, Target Marketing was there, and it was hosted by a printing company. And they got up there and they said, well, direct marketing is great, printing is great, but you should use VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality in your mailing pieces. And I'm like, are you all nuts? You might want to test a QR code, just that, right? Don't test new apps that the user has to download an app. That was the death of the QR code. So anyway, why isn't VR catching on? I'll tell you, there's 2 reasons. Big screen lets you visit a virtual theater with a friend. You can even grab popcorn from a concession stand. But the New York Times explained it's exhausting to watch a movie with the headset on. And VR snacks just make you hungry for the real thing. Even the most immersive experiences can't match the popularity of Zoom calls, right? Why? Because it's real. It's real, and I'll tell you, if you get in a good VR, because I tried one out a couple of weeks ago, a friend has a really good setup, and he said, well, you want to fly a fighter jet? Sure. Because I've done enough of those simulations, and I've got about maybe, 500 hours in the right seat of little planes, so I know how to fly pretty well compared to, and I flew a King R90 for a while. My first official lesson was in a King R90. That's holds 10 people, and there were nobody in it. Never mind. Anyway, so VR's been around since the 90s, and so it's not that different. It's a trough of disappointment if you're expecting it to be really real. But this fighter jet was very real, and guess what happened? I got sick. Because partly is because I took off, pointed it at the sky, and then did barrel rolls. That's a good way to never mind. Anyway, so now there was an event in Helsinki that was a virtual concert, and they got 1/8 of the city participating. But one writer said they donned a pineapple avatar and used her computer mouse to bop to the beat, which is a little different thing. But they said it was different. It wasn't a real concert, but it was funny. So that said, I wanted to talk about Mars Candy in the UK has decided not to use just user-generated video, but made some commercials. And things are a little more raw in the UK, so I'm gonna watch this a little carefully and try to edit out some of the some of the bad stuff. So if you're under 18, you don't want to watch the rest of this, and I will mark it on YouTube, not for kids. Okay? But here we go. Let's go over here to this. Okay, so I'm going to show you two of them.
I'm going on my first ever video date in an hour.
Ooh. Wait, in that room?
What's wrong with this room?
That plant screams I haven't had sex for years.
It's lying. I'm going to change it.
Oh, now we know why.
I can't believe you were talking to us in your knickers.
My date knickers.
Sorry, what? We can't hear you over the plant screaming about your massive saggy pants.
Actually, they are very tight, massive pants.
They're very tight, massive pants. And this one is way worse. I can't believe it had somebody in their knickers on the commercial, but like I said, this one is way worse.
I've done a bit of home baking this week with the kids, and Stella's really into space travel. So I've made some space-themed biscuits.
Oh, nice.
So here you go. She's really happy with these. So here's the stars. They're nice little.
They're cute.
Yeah. And here's the moon. You see that little
Good moon.
And here's the space rocket.
Space rocket. I gotta close that window.
What?
I can't figure out how to do it. Oh, England. They have less rules, less ad rules. Actually, they have terrible rules, and I can't believe that made it through because they have terrible rules about roles, about role identification in commercials, and that one obviously makes fun of male rocket parts. Oh God, help us. Have a great day. I'm John Miglash. Like and share. Yeah, I don't know what your friends will think. Maybe you better not on this one. Don't share this video. Have a great day. Bye.